Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ATD Movie Channel. I'm Tony, and today I'll be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp, the sequel to the Paul Rudd starring superhero film. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so Ant-Man was a huge surprise hit for me. Maybe Marvel knew what they were doing, but for me, I didn't know what to expect, and it ended up being a movie that was such a welcome change of pace for me in terms of the MCU. It's a smaller film, it's a heist film, it's a comedy, and so much of what was great about that movie is here in the sequel. Paul Rudd returns, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michael Pena all come back, and it's more of the same. It's heightened, it's better in some ways, and it struggles in others. And let's jump right into it. So what I liked about the movie is that it is so much fun, and it stars some amazing actors. It's just like the perfect combination for a summer blockbuster popcorn flick. It's got great comedy, and I'll jump into it in a minute. It's got great action. I'll just talk to you about that in a minute as well. It's lighthearted. It didn't need to be as serious as the Avengers Infinity War was, and it's a nice change of pace from that dreadful, dreary universe that they've been building over there. So there's elements of a heist film like the first one, but it's not as in the forefront as it was in the first movie. And again, I think it's got a ton of heart. I think it's different in that regard than the first film. And while we're on the subject of heart, I just thought I would tell you what I liked about it in the way it handles the family and relationships. The relationship between Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, and his daughter Hope, played by Evangeline Lilly, is pretty cool. I mean, you see an evolution from the first movie. Even more so, you see a huge evolution from the beginning of the first film to the end of the second film. And I thought it was a really well done relationship building part of the character study. I thought they did it really well. They also dive deep into the relationship between Hank Pym and his wife, Janet, played by the great Michelle Pfeiffer. Now, it's not a spoiler, but she's not in the movie a ton. The trailers really give away a lot of that, but I thought it was very interesting. I thought that they found a way to show these two never losing love for one another in a really clever and cinematic way. But to me, the most effective relationship explored in this movie is between Scott, played by obviously Paul Rudd, and his daughter Cassie. It's just so cute, and it's cleverly done, and a father-daughter dynamic on the screen. It's playful, and it's sincere, and it felt organic. I felt like the two actors had chemistry together as a father-daughter pairing, and I thought that the director, Peyton Reed, he nailed it. I just thought he captured the relationship and the essence and the motivation for the character and what he does perfectly. Because if that doesn't work, if we don't understand the motivations for Scott Lang, then the rest of the movie falls. And I thought it was really well done. Another aspect of the movie I enjoyed thoroughly was the comedy. And there's a couple different ways comedy is tackled in this movie. Primarily dialogue. And it's really fast, it's witty, it's hilarious. And you almost expect it out of a Paul Rudd movie. And now at this point, we've expected it out of an Ant-Man movie. But also there's some comedy during the action sequences that's fitting, and it feels cohesive with what's going on screen. I wouldn't say physical comedy, guy falling over a chair or anything like that, but there's comedy that's portrayed throughout the action sequences that fits within this universe perfectly. And Michael Pena, you guys, he was a scene stealer in the first film, and he does it again here. So one of the mainstays of the first film is the way Michael Pena tells a story. And he imitates different characters in his story, and they elevate that to a new level in the sequel in the way that he tells a story, and you see the other actors to his voice telling their parts of it. It's just really, really well done. And I think, man, Michael Pena is becoming one of my favorite actors, and one I believe is an underrated talent in Hollywood. He's got to be in more starring roles. I love that guy. And then the last person I would mention in regards to the comedy is obviously Paul Rudd. I mean, his entire career has been on roles like this with quick, witty, fast-talking characters, but he's so lovable. I mean, you just can't help it. The actor is lovable, and it shines through in his performance in this movie. I can't speak highly enough about the cast. I'll talk about a couple characters that were underutilized later in the review, but for the most part, the cast is fantastic. There's another aspect of the movie that we have to talk about and praise, and that's the CGI and the action sequences. Now, the movie is obviously called Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's a true team-up film at this point. It's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. It's in the damn title of the movie. I'll start with the CGI. It's incredibly impressive. The colors, the vibrancy, the locations that they selected, the way that the Ant-Man and the Wasp play off of each other, and the action sequences together, it feels like a fresh, new approach to action that we haven't really seen before. The first movie is really just a precursor to the action in this one. It's really impressive. And the action sequences are new and inventive. The powers for these characters lend themselves to creative and unique action sequences that we really haven't seen much of in a movie. We've seen movies with action sequences where people are small or people are big, but the way that they utilize the powers to get through whatever task they need to accomplish is really, really impressive. And just, again, the way that they play off of each other, I think, is super unique. Overall, I really love this movie, but it's not perfect. And I was careful not to read or watch any reviews of the movie before I went to go see it, so it didn't change my opinion about anything. And I'm still at that point. I haven't seen any other reviews. I think the villain syndrome, again, in the MCU, the villain is not very good. It's the character's name is Ghost. I don't have the actress's name right in front of me, but literally and figuratively, she's never fleshed out in the movie. You get glimpses of a very interesting character and a tormented past, but you never get the meat and potatoes of who this person is. I never personally viewed her as a serious threat. I always felt like the heroes were going to win. I never felt like, oh crap, they may not accomplish what they're out to do because of her. And I feel like if that doesn't work, the stakes are not very high, and you don't really feel like there's much at risk, so who cares? So it affected me a lot more than I thought it would. And again, there's hints of a great character, but it just ultimately didn't go anywhere. In speaking about the character of Ghost, the biggest thing I didn't like about the film is the script itself and in the way of the story. And specifically speaking, the second act, it's very muddled, it's a bit messy, and it has something in it that a couple of movies that I can think of off the top of my head struggle with, and it's that whole the plot twists. There's one after the other. We gotta go here, you guys. We gotta go here. And there's only one guy that can help us, so we gotta go get him. We gotta go talk to him. And then after we go talk to him, we gotta get away from the FBI because they're chasing us. So we gotta get over here. And there's a lot of that in the second act, and it almost withdrew me from the film. It got a little cartoony just in that second act, middle of the film. And in the chaos of all this muddled script and plot, there's some great character actors that are just completely wasted. Just off the top of my head, the two names I wrote down are Walter Goggins. He plays sort of a black market arms dealer type character. Fantastic actor. If you haven't seen Vice Principals on HBO, you're missing out. He's really good in that. He was in this summer's, or I guess it was earlier this year, was Tomb Raider. He was the villain in that film. Totally wasted in this movie. There's signs of a really great, funny villain type character. Doesn't go anywhere. And then the great Lawrence Fishburne. I just feel like the same thing with him. They just didn't figure out a great way to use him. I feel like they wanted to hint at a bigger play in the MCU and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they didn't really know how to use him. I'm going to back up and say that overall, those issues are not enough to take away from all the great things that this movie does. I wish the villain was better, and I wish that second act was tighter, but overall, this was a fantastic sequel to a great franchise that I feel like has carved its own niche in the MCU, different from Guardians, different from Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Thor and all the big name characters, and has really kind of has earned its spot on the mantle, so to speak. So, have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp? And have you seen the first film? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified of content uploaded regularly. You can find other movie reviews on the channel as well. Thanks for watching my review of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'll talk to you soon.